Welcome to iSocialTalks. I talk fast and tweet fast, and now I'm chatting with the community fast. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Use hashtag iSocialTalks to get your questions answered on the next show. Welcome to another iSocialTalks. Today we're talking personal branding versus branding. When we talk brands and how brands should use social media, too often people associate what those lessons are, what those tips are for what they should do for their personal brand. I know it's something that I did when I started. I started to listen to the people who would give advice on how brands should handle social media, how you shouldn't be on certain channels, how many times you should post a day. And as I've grown and as I've kind of gone through the journey of establishing my voice, understanding what my passion was and how I really was going to use social media, part of what that thinking was how do I do what I do and share my story and get that conveyed to the people that I want to hear it. Now, I use a term for content that I'm working with brands and also with things that I do for blogging and this video included, with a term called upcycling, where you're taking great content, you're repurposing it, reallocating it, and putting it in different networks, different ways, but you're getting the same message, the same great content out on many different channels. And that also is what you need to be doing from personal branding perspective. And what that means is, for me, I'm constantly tweaking and testing, and as a geek for A/B testing, oftentimes people assume that if you're testing something on Twitter or on social media, it means what you're posting. But I'm also testing and listening to data on how many mentions I get, where people are getting value from my conversation, what content is of value. For me, if I post, which I post much more regularly on Twitter, if a piece of content actually goes with more mentions and more people are enjoying that on Twitter, that might be something I'm going to add to my LinkedIn or my Facebook feed, or I'm going to buffer for the next day. Where if it's something that I thought was great and I put it on LinkedIn and I put it on Pinterest and I put it across all the networks, maybe it doesn't have as much value, but for me, I thought it was going to be valuable and I want to learn from that. So my lesson here is, if brands are telling small business leaders, you're telling, and I agree, your time is money and you only have so much time, I would find where your current customers are and then try to establish yourself on that social media network. But for a personal brand, I say, you want to be heard, you want to tell your story. The more places you have that story, the better. The caveat is you want to make sure that you're telling the same story and that it makes sense. I'm one that if you don't have a account or if you don't have a handle or avatar that you like to go to, first name, last name makes sense. I know Gary Vee on Ask Gary Vee the other day was talking about, if he had made his Twitter handle Gary the Wine Guy or Wine Guru, when he switched from wine as his focus to social media, he would have to change his handle. And that's something I struggled with for a while. I had multiple Twitter accounts. I still do from a personal perspective. But iSocialFans is kind of what I've established as who I am. I don't think of it as a personal brand. It's who Brian Fanzo is. Brian Fanzo is iSocialFans across all of my networks, across all of the social channels. And that's important to me. I'm telling the same story. I'm being the same person because I embrace the transparency angle. I'm 100% who I am. I treat social media much like I would at a conference. My favorite thing of speaking at conferences is collaborating and engaging and networking with people in the crowd. And part of that is you are who you are. You're not going to go up to someone and give them the pitch without ever knowing who they are, introducing yourself, or getting to know them. And you don't want to do that on social media. You don't want to send a in-mail on LinkedIn and say, hey, buy this from me, without ever really getting to know that person, because you wouldn't do that in person. And what that meant to me is that for me, I am who I am, and I post on Google Plus every day. I post on Pinterest every day. I post on Facebook every day. I post on Twitter every day. And I post on LinkedIn. I also have accounts on Tumblr. And for me, it's finding great content, and if I can find great content that's valuable to me and share that with the community, hopefully I'm providing them value and telling them my story along the way. Last part I leave you with is kind of this promotion angle, or how do leaders affect your personal branding. For me, I would read books, I would follow certain leaders on social media, and if what they were saying is what they were doing, I started to pay attention. Not all social media leaders today have the time or the dedication to doing what they practice or doing what they preach. And to me, that's sad. And I won't promote or work with them, because I believe that if you believe in what you're doing, and if you understand that if you're teaching someone from a personal branding perspective or how you should engage on social, much like Ted Rubin does. Ted Rubin believes in return on relationships, and if you've met the guy in person, he's the same guy as he is online. He's the same guy as he is offline. He's just a wonderful person, engaging, personal. He makes you feel like he does care, because he does. And when you're thinking about that, when you're promoting other people on social, it costs no money to retweet a tweet. But I want to retweet and share articles and blogs from people that I believe are doing it right, that are aligned with my vision. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have a different voice. It doesn't mean that I have no voice myself. But what it does mean is that, hey, if these people are people that we should listen to and I can align myself with, then that's a good thing for me. And I've been very blessed. I've been able to meet in person as well as kind of collaborate online with some of the people that what I believe are doing social the right way, that are living their brand online and offline much like they are every day, like they are who they are. And as social grows, as more people really embrace the idea of a relationship, the idea that we're having conversations on social media, the more people will be exposed if they're just link dropping or acting like it's a communication channel, or preaching about how important it is to reply to all of your comments on Facebook, yet if you look at their personal account, they don't ever reply on Facebook. So my lesson from this is, be who you are, be yourself. It's easier. If you don't embrace transparency and you're not yourself, you'll spend a lot of wasted time trying to figure out who you are rather than just being yourself and getting it done. The next piece I say is, if you can be on multiple locations, if you can share content on multiple locations, do it. But don't automate. I can't stand seeing a 140 character tweet show up in my Facebook timeline. Take the time to create and craft your different messages for each network. If you don't have that time, don't do it on that network. It's better to be, to really focus and hone in on what you're doing. And last but not least, you're the author, the producer, the director of your story. If you want people to understand what you're doing, if you think you're doing great things, well, you need to tell your story. Find ways to do that. I use LinkedIn Publisher. I love the Medium platform. There's tools like Atomic Reach, or there's blogs like Millennial CEO, where I blog, where we're looking for bloggers that are living and doing things with social media, community, leadership, and get your voice heard. Get your blogging out there, get your content. Use content to tell the story so that people understand who you are as a person, and then be yourself online. That's all I have for iSocialTalks today. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Subscribe down below right there on the YouTube channel so that you can get future episodes. And I'll be making sure to post these on all of my social media accounts, iSocialFans, like the Arizona license plates. Have a good day. That's another episode of iSocialTalks. Thank you for joining us, and use the hashtag iSocialTalks to submit your questions on any of the social channels, and I'll be happy to answer them on the show next time. If you'd like to be a guest, also use the hashtag and let me know what you'd like to get on and talk about. Hopefully you have a wonderful day. Cheers!